one of our sellers on the store, so please enjoy this long-form interview with Zova. Hello, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing all good, thank you.
Great, we are doing all good today. Welcome to the VTuber Central channel.
Thank you.
We wanted to just have like a general little interview chat since you've been on VTuber Central for a little hot moment now. Do you want to tell us a little bit about you, about yourself, what you do?
Hi there, hello, I'm Princess Zovastria, the Eldritch Princess from the Astral Realm, and I'm a variety VTuber. I make a lot of content on Twitch, YouTube, we stream various places, TikTok. And yeah, I'm just chaotic, evil, Eldritch horror, nonsense, blah, yeah. Hi,
Sounds great.
yes.
Awesome. So you've been up to a lot of chaos recently, or?
Just sort of, yes, sort of no, like, sort of chaos is sort of everything, and just I'm always looking for ways to make more chaos and things like that.
Proper mischievous. We love it.
Yes.
Awesome. So you've been with VTuber Central for a hot minute. How have you been finding it? How have you been finding it so far?
It's been very awesome here, honestly. Like, the platform has been sort of like the merch platform has been really nice. Like, a lot of times when you work with merch companies or whatever, there's a lot of sort of there's always sort of like a like either it's like a larger company that they only work with you if you have a small like or if you have like if you have a large following, if you have a small following, or like not, if you feel less like visible on the platforms and things like that. Like if you have less followers on Twitter, for example, even if you have like a decent following on other platforms, like if you don't have the requisite quote unquote following, a lot of companies just won't work with you in the first place. And
Yeah.
some of the companies that will work with you will charge you a lot of money to work with them. So it's like, oh yeah, I want to sell merch. How do I go about this? Oh, I start to look into companies, and it's like, oh well, like it's just gets really complicated or really expensive, whereas companies just don't want to talk to you in the first place. So like it's been really nice to just been like, oh yeah, I have these ideas for some merch. Let's throw it together, and oh yeah, we can just make it work.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's
Yeah.
what it's all about, right? Just making it
Hmm.
happen and,
Yeah. And
creating what you want to create.
while I don't expect to like sell like hundreds of copies of something like that, the fact that I have given my community an option to purchase things that they want to support me by is really nice.
Huh. Oh, awesome. That's great. I'm glad you've been finding it good so far. That's great.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the beginning of your journey. What were your first impressions of VTuber Central when you came across it?
So like I sort of came across it through someone recommended it on Twitter, and so I initially I wasn't 100% certain how everything was sort of set up and worked. Like I saw the site, I was like, I don't know, like what does like sometimes like when it's a smaller company, you don't really know what the deal is, whether the situation
Yeah.
is like sometimes small companies prop up that are trying to like take advantage of people and whatnot. So like you don't really know sometimes. So you gotta look into them more and things like that. So like I looked into it and I saw, I was looking into it. I saw, oh, hey, these people, I recognize some of these names and like some bigger names even. Like, oh, they seem somewhat reputable then probably. And I started looking more into it. I was, because a lot of times, I see a lot of different companies and things like that all over Twitter and things like that. That some of them are not so reputable. So you're like,
Yeah.
what? Especially like when it comes to like, there's like artists, like fake artists and things too. So
Yeah.
you don't always know. But I looked more into it and I was like, oh, well, this is actually seems kind of cool because like there's a lot of commercial companies that work with larger VTubers, Kawa and Emo
Yeah.
Market and things like that. But like as far as like companies that work with smaller VTubers, not so much.
Yeah. I think that's definitely the kind of people that we want to reach as well. That was kind of like our main goal, is to kind of get that demographic of people that have nowhere else to go without laying
Hmm.
tons of money down, like insane amount of money for no particular reason, really. Like there is a reason,
Yeah,
but it's a bit obscured, and I think that's
like
where we wanted to start out, right?
yeah, like for example, like I don't expect to move 100 units of merch necessarily, but as a person, I could buy myself like 20 like of these keychains and try to sell them myself. But then I run into the issue of how do I sell those to people outside the U.S. or how do I ship those or etc. So I'm like, so
Yeah.
there's always been like I've always just been looking for like different places. I started off making merch on Streamlabs. They had their own merch store on there. I just threw together some stuff on Streamlabs because hey, Streamlabs handles it for you. You throw it on their tool or whatever. You can like basically make T-shirts or whatever. And
Yeah.
then but Streamlabs costs you money per year, so I was like, I want to move away from that. And then I started looking into other sites like Redbubble and Teespring and whatnot. But there's always sort of like between the amount of money they give you and the limited like they're designed for different purposes. VTuber there's not really a VTuber specific like merch platform out there that supports more smaller creators like because they sell t-shirts and stuff on those other sites and some of them are better than others but there's not a whole lot of things like oh you can sell acrylic keychains and booba mouse pads and body pillows and so on like you can sell posters and maybe t-shirts or whatever but nothing more specific towards the market of like VTubers would prefer.
Yeah. It's more like a niche style market, I
Hmm.
think. And in that way, we've
Well
kind of
because
cornered that area a little bit.
Yeah, well, because like stickers are nice, and you can sometimes find sites that sell stickers, and posters are nice because well, you can pretty much sell posters pretty much a lot of places because posters are just printed media. But
Uh-huh.
like, and t-shirts are t-shirts that people make t-shirts for all sorts of reasons. But when it comes to like acrylic keychains or like body pillows or like standees or all these other sort of merch items, those are some more like specific to like anime style stuff, things that you wouldn't necessarily as a generic seller want to sell those things because that's only a niche market sort of thing. So
Yeah.
when it
It's
comes to
very
like
synonymous
VTubers,
with like
yeah,
anime, VTubing, especially like the whole
hmm
kind of dakimakura like culture and everything. It's very synonymous
yeah.
with that kind of culture. So yeah, it totally
And it's
makes
just
sense.
not every it's not something that every old person is looking for to sell on a site. So a company like Teespring would have no reason to like make that as a merch item.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly.
That was kind of the first impressions of VTuber
Hmm.
Central. So what kind of
Yeah.
drove you to apply from there? So after you did all your research, what kind of drove you to go, hey, yeah, I actually want to do this?
Well, as I mentioned before, I had noticed that there were some of the names I was familiar with, as I think their name is Hanakyo,
Oh yeah.
the furry dragon. I saw them on here, and I was also saw there's another person I'm familiar with, the person who replied to my original post on Twitter in regards to VTuber Central is also part of it, and I was looking through the site, and so I was like, I really wanted to sell. So I have future plans to sell Boo mouse pads, and I had no idea how to go about it. So I was like, one thing in my
Ah,
mind is I don't know how to do this, so this is in the back of my mind. But also, I had the desire to sell keychains and things like that, and when I was looking through like the information for the site and things like that, that seemed sort of like something that y'all did, and that was sort of like a driving factor for me. Is like this would give me the opportunity to sell these things, not be sort of like charged a whole lot of money to like try to sell them. Like there's a feasible way for me to sell these products without having to move 100 of them to make my money back or so on.
oh yeah, definitely. I think it's
Yeah.
very much giving everybody a fair shot, right?
Yes.
Like everyone can get a bit of get a bit of the cake if they really wish it.
Mhm.
It can happen.
I always seen, for me at least, at my level, at least merch isn't so much about making a huge profit for me. It's more of a
Mm,
I want my community to have a way to support me and have products that like represent me. So if they want to have like, oh, if someone wants a Zova sticker, or if someone wants a Zova Booba mouse pad, they have the option to buy one from somewhere rather than just being like, oh, well, I want this product, but it doesn't exist, so I'm just not gonna
yeah,
have it.
that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Cool. So, what's the favorite piece of merch that you've created so far? What's your favorite bit?
Honestly, the keychain is probably my favorite that I've seen like so
Yeah.
far. Like the thing is, the keychain, like the artwork for the keychain wasn't originally designed to be a keychain. It was just a PNG I commissioned for like for as you can see here is the PNG for that keychain is the is sort of designed as a reactive. It has a little mouth open animation and things like that. It's animated and all that. But I noticed it was sort of in the style that I thought would look good as a keychain. So I was like, let's see what it looks like as a keychain, and I thought it turned out really really nice.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to get them out to like your fans and stuff. It's going to be really
Hmm.
awesome.
Yep.
Cool. Have you seen any other merch on the store that's you're like, damn, that's some really good merch from like other creators?
I haven't looked too much. I know a friend of mine that I recommended to VTuber Central is going to be selling a body pillow through your store eventually, and I'm
Oh
excited for that. As soon as I can afford one, I'm going to try to buy one myself. Uh, but their body pillow artwork looks sick.
it's absolutely amazing. We have to keep it under wraps. I'm sorry, guys,
Yeah,
but I mean, if the
it's
by the
not
time
released
that this
yet.
video comes out, if it's up, I will link it.
Mhm.
It is an
Yes.
incredible bit of artwork, isn't it? Oh my goodness,
Yes.
so so cool, so so cool. Yeah, we'll definitely have to get one of those over to you.
Yeah, I'm definitely try.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit more about like the inspiration for your pieces. What's kind of the inspiration behind your merch or behind your merch lines? Do you have any future plans?
So as I mentioned, as far as future plans go, I have artwork for Booba mouse pads that I sort of just when I first started working on merch, like I sort of just threw just something together in Streamlabs. That was a long time ago. That was like over a year ago at this point. I just like I think my favorite thing that I made should be Streamlabs, and I haven't been able to find a way to replicate it yet. I don't even know if y'all would be able to do it. Is I had this sort of metal tumbler, and a lot of the sites that I found other than Streamlabs, when they do a tumbler, they have like a section of the tumbler that's dedicated to the art, and the rest of it's sort of just like the metal or whatever.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason, Streamlabs tumbler, the entire thing is painted from top to bottom. So
Oh.
it's just like one full piece, like the entire thing is painted, and it's even goes all the way painted to the bottom. Like
Oh.
it looks really, really cool, and the artwork I chose for it and the way I angled it and all that sort of looked really good. So I haven't found anywhere that replicates that sort of style of like tumbler, but it's like a metal aluminum tumbler or whatever. But
Ooh.
so like if I could ever find another way to get that made, it'd be awesome. But I don't expect that anywhere anytime soon.
Oh my
But
goodness.
as far as like the future plans, the Boba mouse pad is something that I'm looking for. I always sort of like I'm like the big fan of like the sort of like a lot of the anime style merch things, like the body pillows and the Boba mouse pads and things. I think that there's just like a nice aesthetic to them and the keychains and whatnot. I really like when it comes to like the keychain. It's sort of I had originally a keychain on Streamlabs that was just like it was like a very basic keychain. So they didn't really do anything special, but there's like a little circular keychain with like a picture of one of my older artworks, and it's basically the idea was a waifu like the waifu in your pocket. So
Oh,
it's like the little anime waifu in your pocket sort of thing. So I was just
that's
like I sort
adorable.
of came up with that idea with the keychain. I was like, well, what if we just had like the little Zova gremlin in their pocket, sort of for the
Oh,
acrylic thing? Just like a little acrylic Zova and gremlin in your pocket. You can just bring around with you.
that's so cute. I love that. Tell us how easy do you feel it is to kind of upload and create merch with VTC? Is it easy? Is it difficult? Where would you put it?
I would say it's fairly simple. The process is somewhat a little bit more manual, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, of course, you create your entries and you come up with the sort of the idea, and then you like upload some basic images and things like that, and then the VTuber Central team sort of puts together those ideas that you have to sort of make that happen. They work with you, so that's you know y'all work with us. That's really freaking awesome. Um, and so I'd say it's fairly simple. I think the fact that there's a little bit more manual nature to it in regards to things like having to come up with the exact specifications might require a little bit more research or looking into more like manual type things rather than having the direct reference to those things like available
Yeah.
straight on the site. That makes it a little bit more complicated, but overall it's still fairly simple.
Awesome. I'm glad you see it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of pride ourselves a little bit on having at least like a basic look at every bit of merch that goes up,
Hmm.
make sure
Yeah.
that everything's all happy and it looks good, it
I
passes
do really like
accessibility.
that we get to see like a sort of a preview of what those merch items are going to look like, especially before they ever get received by anybody. Sort of like as a nice mock-up that
Oh
gets
yeah.
made of these things. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the good mock-ups. Like the body pillow mock-ups are really cool. I love
I
those.
also really appreciate that the artwork gets watermarked for us, so we don't have to worry about people trying to steal
Oh yeah.
artwork or whatever, or like try to pretend to sell or things like that.
I mean, that's something that we're also like really passionate about, right? Like making sure everything
Hmm.
is all safe and secure and stuff like that. We love it. What would you say to someone if they're thinking about joining VTuber Central?
I've already recommended VTuber Central to several people, but one particular friend is already joining or has joined, and then others I've mentioned. I'm just sort of like I know a lot of small creators. I mentioned a lot of I like a lot of time like I mentioned like small creators often can struggle with making merch and things like that. So really like in the lower range where I'm at, like not like I'm not a Twitch partner. I'm not like at the bottom of the barrel or anything like that. Obviously, like
Yeah,
I'm not brand new. I'm averaging like I don't know 15, 20 people sometimes
yeah.
on Twitch, but so I'm not like nowhere. I'm not nobody, but I'm also don't feel like I'm somebody. So I'm like in the middle of it. I'm sort of like a limbo. It feels like, but when it comes to like merch and stuff like that, large companies don't look at me, but so like it's mostly the small companies like y'all that. So I basically sort of like a lot of smaller creators that they have ideas for merch or whatever. They have really neat artwork and whatnot. They've spent money on this artwork that they have commercial rights to. Like talk to them and be like, you could like make that into a merch item, like sort of like if you have this cool artwork, you could think about making it into a merch, and there's this company, that we could make that happen for you.
I love it. Oh my god, elevator pitch. I love it. Yeah,
It's basically what it is, right?
it
Like
is.
especially for the items like the stickers and things like that. You have this cool artwork that's just sitting on a shelf, and it could be something that's like even if it's just like one or two of your viewers that are interested in it, like that's still like that's getting those viewers that something that they can hold on to that to remember you by or whatever. Like
Yeah,
you can have these people who are really interested in you or your character, your brand or whatever, and like if they don't have the option to buy something from you, that's just like it'd be nice to offer something if you could. So
yeah, definitely. Oh, that's
yeah.
awesome. Thank you. What would be your dream piece of merch if you could have any merch in the world? Is it the water bottle? Is that the one that you would want?
Okay, we have to go in from the realm of realism to non-realism. So like most
Non-realistic, like yeah.
so the unrealistic answer is plushie because
Oh.
everyone has asked or asks talks. It's become a meme at this point of people calling me a plushie and I hate it. But sort of like people have expressed a desire for a Zova plushie and I'm like I can't make that happen. I'm sorry, but
Oh.
the that serves the unrealistic version of the dream piece. I'd say the dream piece, the realistic but won't probably happen is the sort of like the water bottle or the tumbler that is sort of like a metal water bottle or tumbler that's full painted, not just like partially painted where like a lot of companies do. And then the realistic one is probably going to happen eventually, but it's going to be a while. Is body pillow, a new body pillow version.
Yeah.
The same artist that did my friend's artwork is I'm on their wait list, and I'll be getting them to make an artwork for me as well. But that's months away, if that. So who knows when that'll happen?
Oh
But
my
that's sort of
goodness.
that's a dream potential future merch that will happen months from now. But
Oh
yeah,
my god, watch this space.
yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. Oh my goodness. But yeah, it is so difficult because like especially with plushes and things like that, we're like, oh my god, we want to do that. Like even as a merch
It's
company, we're
not
like,
like
damn, we want to do that.
plushes are not something you can really like.
You just
There's
can't.
one kind of plush that you could really make as a mass produced item, and that's sort of like two pieces of fabric sewed together with
Yep.
stuffing in them that are sort of just a shaped piece of fabric. That's one thing, but like to actual maybe make an actual legitimate like plush, unless you're buying off the shelf plushies and customizing them somehow, like you are gonna
Oh, it's
it's
hard.
really not easy. It's expensive and time consuming, and you have to basically find people to do the work for you because it's not just something you can throw out into a factory machine and make a factory do it. Like
Oh
it's
god, no.
much more custom than that. So
Yeah,
yeah, and
definitely.
the water bottle thing is more of like I don't know what they did or who they contacted or how they Streamlabs did it, but
We
every
got to
other
get a
company I've
hold
seen
of
so
their
far,
number. We got to get a
yeah,
hold of them.
I don't know why, but every other company is just like, oh, here's this like there's this aluminum water bottle, but the bottom part is going to always be steel and or whatever, and then the top part you can have painted and it just looks weird. I just
Yeah.
want the entire thing with one solid design, like, and I can send you a picture of it if you want me to, but I can, but
Yeah.
it's like a, but it's like a really neat like really neat Tumblr, and I only there are only a few that actually exist because back in Streamlabs days, I had the ability to do giveaways essentially. So but not a whole lot of people bought things back then, but I did giveaways occasionally. Of I could basically what they would do is you would pay them the money for the base price of the item, and they would ship it to the person through the, and you wouldn't have to handle their address or anything like that. They would just handle it for you. So it was neat. Just have a built-in giveaway function that Streamlabs had.
Ooh, that's
So a couple of
cool.
people have these merch items that nobody else will ever have.
Wow, that's really cool and very unique for like your fan base and stuff to have
Yeah,
items that, yeah, exclusives. I love that. That's
yeah.
so cool. Awesome. Well, any other thoughts about your experience with VTuber Central so far?
It's been lovely, honestly. Like it's been great. I love the fact that we can have animated banners and things on the side as well, like to spice things up. I personally had to finagle a little bit to figure out how to do it, and then I
Yeah.
just sort of did it the jankiest way I could think of, but it still works. So, but and it's sort of disappointing. A lot of like you think about it now, and then you're like, well, why can't I put these animated banners on Twitter or these any of the other like platforms I use? I
See,
just like
yeah.
I made all this work into the animated banner now. I just can't use it anywhere else.
No.
But it's really neat, and I really like that it sort of adds a little bit of flair and thing. You don't need an animated banner, of course, but it does add a little bit of flair, like you kind of little stars,
Sprinkles.
sparkle, or like like little things move and things. Of course, I paid somebody to animate my logo, so it was neat to be able to have my animated version of my logo show up on somewhere other than just my streams and things. So
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. Awesome. And I mean, is there anything that you kind of wanted to plug or talk about at all?
The only plug I have is VStream is awesome, and it's the platform I primarily stream on. And if you haven't heard of VStream, it's similar vibes to VTuber Central, in that it's a sort of like a very VTuber first sort of company, and they just like VTuber Central and are like focused on trying to make the best platform possible for VTubers. So
Yeah.
I think anyone who hasn't heard of or hasn't checked out VStream has should also do that.
Yeah, if you've
Yeah.
checked us out, go check out VStream because, yeah, they definitely have very similar vibes to us. It's great.
Hmm. Yeah, it's wonderful.
It's great. I love it. Creator first. That's what it's all about.
Yes. Yep.
I love it.
Unfortunately, it's not very profitable, so a lot of companies don't do that these days.
That's sad though. It can be profitable. That's the thing. It's literally just kind of having the patience if you want it, and then having the passion when it's not profitable, right? Like
Hmm.
you want
Yeah,
it to do well.
unfortunately, shareholders are like, oh, well, money now. Long-term gains, who cares? Money now.
No,
But
how
that's
dare
besides the
they?
point.
Do you know what? In the last interview, I started it out by talking about how how the capitalist society works and that everybody's got to make money. And here we are again in the second
It just
interview.
is. It's sort of just its own thing. It's money makes the world go round. Unfortunately, some people make the money go round faster than others.
Exactly, exactly. But I mean, so long as there's people that are passionate about what they do and how
Mm,
they go about it and are artistic about that, then, we have the cool stuff that comes out of that. So,
yes,
yeah. Awesome. Well, it's been absolutely amazing to speak to you. Thank you so much for coming on and having a good chat with me.
absolutely. Thank you for having me.
And yeah, if you want to go check out Zova, the links will all be below, so you can go check that out. And we'll see you all again next time. Thank you so much for coming.
Yes,
Bye-bye.
thank you. Bye.
Bye.